Celebrate good times. Come on. Hey. It's my 1 year anniversary of this BookTube channel, and I'm here to celebrate. I'm here to announce what a great year it's been. It's been better than I could possibly have imagined. So first of all, thank you. Thank you to all of you who've watched my videos, who've liked, commented, subscribed. You know, those things that make a channel work and give me little snippets of dopamine and show me that what I'm doing is worthwhile. And I'm having the best time. It's just been amazing, you know. I've been a book lover all my life, but for some reason I never thought about making a BookTube channel, which is weird because I was on YouTube anyway. I'd been on YouTube for a while and I'd been watching BookTube channels and enjoying them, just never thought, hey, why don't I start one? So I did, a year ago. I sat down in this very chair and recorded a video of a book haul, Dark Tower series by Stephen King. That was my first video back then, and since then I've made over 100 videos, and I've had the best time. It's been amazing. Best reading year of my life, quite easily. The best thing though, it's not the books that I've read, but the friends that I've made. Because the book community here on BookTube is just incredible. It's such a supportive and fun place to hang out, you know. And as you know, if you're a booktuber or just a book lover, reading is quite a lonely pursuit, you know. So to share that with other people online, to be in book groups and doing buddy reads and having conversations, whether in the comments here or in Discord servers or on Instagram, Threads, wherever it might be. It's just been the best thing ever. And so thank you to everybody who supported me. It's been an amazing year. And as I go into 2025, I've got much more of an idea about the kinds of things I want to read, the kinds of articles I want to write, the groups I want to run, the groups I want to participate in. So, yeah, taking part in groups has been an amazing part of this journey. The first group I joined was Elizabeth's Plant-Based Bride. She's probably responsible for this channel, actually, or partly so, because it was through her when I was reading books about ADHD, of all things. I found her review of 3 books, and I was like, ooh, that sounds really good. I should maybe start to record that kind of thing, because doing so, writing for my Substacks, recording videos here, means that I'm reading more deeply, and that's the whole point. And also there's the human connection element as well. I mean, reading is, although it's a solitary pursuit, it is a way of connecting with humanity through art, through creativity, through consuming what other people have written about the world, whether it be non-fiction or fantasy or literary fiction or classic literature, which is a big part of my channel. It's a way of connecting with the world, and it's a way about finding out who you are and what your place is in the world. So with that in mind, Dickens. I'm reading Bleak House this year. I read my first Dickens novel 2 years ago, which was Great Expectations, and I felt this year that, you know, I'm coming into my mid-50s. I want to be reading more Dickens. It's time to be reading more Dickens, because I just feel like it connects me to the world in a way, as does Russian literature, which is a massive part of my channel. And I'd like to thank Dana Dostoyevskaya, who runs a Substack on Dostoyevsky. She's reading Brothers Karamazov at the moment, just started at the beginning of this year. I'm reading that with her, but she was a great support to me as I was writing my Crime and Punishment Substack, which is still going. I'm in the final part of the book now, which I try and put out. I say try because I've failed to get one out every week, but I get an essay out every week where I analyse the chapter that I've just read. And this is one of my favourite novels of all time. So it's really fun to go into it and try and grow as a reader, as a critic, would you say? I don't know how you would put it. As a book reviewer, because I did study Russian literature way back in the 90s when I was a student, and my essays were not particularly good. Good enough to get my degree. I did pass. Got a 2-1, which was a massive, massive thing for me. And now that I'm in my 50s, I find myself really wanting to reconnect with these books. Brothers Karamazov, which I read 95, probably, 96. I didn't enjoy it back then, but now I'm feeling like this is the time in my life where I need to be reading these wonderful works of literature, connecting to history, to literature, to the past, you know. So, human connection through art and through conversation, which itself is an art. The way that we get to chat in these discussions down below in the book review videos and on the social media channels and in the Discord servers. And when we get to meet in real life, which happened, Worldcon, Glasgow, I got to meet some amazing friends of mine who I'd met online, and then we got to consolidate that friendship in real life, and it continues, it evolves and gets stronger and stronger. So yeah, the book community is just the best. So that was Dana who helped me out. There was also Elizabeth, who's been amazing. Her channel's been a big inspiration. Andrew Watson's Discord server has just been the best. It's the absolute best place to hang out. I love it there. I've made so many friends. Another amazing group read I did was with Simon Hazel, War and Peace. Yeah, he started it at the beginning of the year. I picked it up around about April, I think, and I discovered it, and I jumped in. He reads a chapter a day right through the year, and the book has 360 chapters, so was it 361? Which means you can read a chapter a day in a year, and what an experience it was. It wasn't my first time reading War and Peace. I did read it when I was a student. Did my dissertation on it, actually, in my final year. Well, this is the first time I'd read it since then, and it was amazing. What a group read, you know, amazing, amazing content from Simon. And he's doing it again this year, so if you want to catch up, it wouldn't take you long. You know, we're only into the end of January, so you could catch up easily if you felt like reading one of the world's best novels and have your hand held while you do it. Highly, highly recommended. It's one of the highlights of my year last year. I followed Ben McAvoy for a while, hardcore literature, so I learned some things from him. He's done some great content on Russian literature as well, so I recommend his channel. And as I go on, I'm going to be growing my Substack. Following Ted Joya's Humanities course has been one of the highlights of the year for me. Reading things like Homer's Odyssey and Aristotle and Plato. You know, these are great things to be reading, particularly for human connection and for personal growth. So, yeah, it's been an amazing year, and I'm looking forward very much to 2025, which I have planned out. I've got some plans, stuff I want to read, literature, fantasy, non-fiction. It's going to be a great year. So, thank you all once again. Thanks for making this little humble reader here have such a good year, for helping me, supporting me. It means the world. And I'm looking forward to 2025 very much. And to celebrate this video, I invited some of my book friends to come along and send me a short clip of their favourite book, which I believe is an illegal term, which you'll hear about from Andrew Watson. I asked them to pick their favourite book of 2024. And so I've got a bunch of clips now to share with you. I hope you enjoy watching them. And I thought perhaps I might actually take on board all of the recommendations and do a book series for next year. What do you think about that idea? You want to join me? So, thank you all again. I'm now going to hand you over to my book pals. I hope you enjoy their little clips. Thanks, everybody. See ya.
Hi, I'm Katie from the channel Books and Things. Thanks very much, Cams, for having me on your channel. When Cams asked me to recommend a book, I had a long, hard think about what book to recommend. And went through many possibilities of Victorian literature, which is something that I read a lot of. But in the end, I decided to recommend a modern classic instead, one of my favourite books that I read in 2024, and that is Nervous Conditions by Tsitsi Dangarembga. This is a fantastic coming-of-age story about a young girl growing up in Zimbabwe in the 1960s, 1970s, about her relationship with her mother, her aunt, her cousin, and how her family and her society have been impacted by colonialization. It is such a fantastic novel. The writing is just incredible. The characterization is so well done, and thematically it is just so fascinating and so powerful. I also think it's a hugely clever novel for how it kind of takes the form of a Bildungsroman, a coming-of-age story, and does really clever, different things with it. I just thought it was incredible, and it's a book that will stay with me for a long time. Nervous Conditions was one of my favourite books that I read in 2024, but I also think it was probably like the best book I read in 2024, like objectively just the best book I have read for ages and ages. It was so good. So I really do recommend Nervous Conditions. It is a truly incredible novel.
Hi, my name's Tim. Welcome to Tim Burbage Reads. Wait, we're not on Tim Burbage Reads. We're on Cam Campbell's channel. Ah, that's why all of you are here. Anyway, it's Cam's first year on YouTube. Congratulations, Cams. You've got a great channel. I really enjoy your dulcet tones of your voice as you contemplate the lives and mysteries of the universe through reading, through philosophy, through non-fiction and fiction, with your cat wandering in the background. I do enjoy that. You asked for what your favourite book is of 2024. My favourite book was A Heart Divided by Jin Yong, which is the fourth book in an epic wushu, kung fu, ancient Chinese, historical fiction, epic fantasy story. It's quite hard to sell someone on book 4. Oh, this is really good, but you need to read the other 3 books first. The other 3 books are very good, by the way. I'm reading A Hero Born Now. So good. So instead, I'm going to recommend a book that I think you would really enjoy. So I remember seeing somewhere that you're planning to read Moby Dick in 2025. You know, a really short, light piece of fiction. I'm going to recommend something that's kind of the other side of the same coin, and that is The Sea Wolf by Jack London. So what's The Sea Wolf about? It's about a man called Humphrey. He is a gentleman. He ends up being shipwrecked and is saved. It's a miracle. Who has saved him, though? It is the Sea Wolf, the captain, Wolf Larsen, this incredibly hard sea captain, and his brutal crew. The ship is a sealing ship, so they go and they hunt seals, and you see how Humphrey changes as he is exposed to these hard, brutal, animalistic people. Wolf Larsen is one of my favourite characters I've ever read, and I think it'll be interesting for you to compare him to Captain Ahab, because I think the stories are similar, but told in different ways. I've never read Moby Dick, but I loved The Sea Wolf, which I read this year, and I think you'll really enjoy it too. Anyway, I'll see you in the next one. Now, get out of my house!
Hello, Mr. Campbell and viewers of Mr. Campbell's channel. I am Ross, one half of hardysbooks, and Cams has asked me to say what the best book I read in the last year was. But because Cams is a very thoughtful man, because Cams is a very interesting man who reads very interesting books, I didn't want to take this question at face value. Instead, I wanted to pick maybe a couple of books that I think will be very appropriate for viewers of his channel. So you, person who's watching this, based on the last year of books that I read. So books I really enjoyed in the last year that I think viewers of Cam's channel will enjoy. First of all, I'd like to recommend Shirley Jackson's We Have Always Lived in the Castle. Very short book, wonderful book, written from the perspective of a young girl with undiagnosed OCD, as she deals with some fairly hefty family trauma. I like to think this book as the origin story of a haunted house. It's very easy to read, very short and wonderful and spooky and a mystery, and it's excellent. And then non-fiction wise, I can't help but recommend The Wager by David Gran, and this is actually the book I finished most recently. It is extraordinary. It is the most interesting real-life tale that I had no idea had happened, and of course inspired many works of literature like Robinson Crusoe, like Byron's poems, because Byron's granddad was on this ship. Crazy. I found that out when reading this book, and it was just a fantastic tale, well told. The most brilliant opening line that I can think I've read in a while. Here you go. The only impartial witness was the sun. Cams, thanks for having me on, and it's been great to get to know you over the last year, and all the best for the next year of book fun.
Hey, it's the mildrumpus coming at you live from the House of Flimsy. Congratulations on an incredible first year of BookTube, and a very happy new year to all of your viewers. Thank you so much for including me in this celebration. The book I'm going to talk to you about is one of the first books I read for my channel, but I have to say that it's the book that I compared all the others to throughout the year. It might not have been the book that I rated the highest. It might not be, extraordinary literature, but man, is this some great storytelling. It's a page turner. It's cinematic. It's a historical novel that feels contemporary, and that is A.K. Blakemore's The Glutton. The cover is what initially drew me, but the story is just wild. So it's set in the late 1700s, 1800s in France. This man has been accused of eating something quite extraordinary. I won't spoil it for you. I'll let you find out in your own time. But the latest thing he's ingested is a golden fork, and that is killing him. So he's currently in like a hospital, prison type situation, and there's a nun that has been tasked to sit with him and make sure that he doesn't do anything else insane. So as she's sitting with him, he begins to tell her, whether she wants to hear it or not, the story of his life. And man, is it a trip. So buckle up. If you're looking for a great read that also has some gross out moments, just be aware, this is the one for you. Check out The Glutton. Let us know what you think. Bye.
Happy Channelversity Cams. You asked me what is one of my favorite reads of 2024. You asked me for my favorite, but that's an illegal question, so I'm going to pretend I misheard it as just one of my favorites. Probably my favorites were Dungeon Crawler Carl. It was Dungeon Crawler Carl. I have a feeling it will be book 7, but I didn't technically finish that in 2024. So I'm going to give it to one of these, depending on what day it is. I could swap between the two because they're both really, really good. This story is absolutely incredible. It is wacky, it is weird, it is hilarious, but it's also pretty dark. It has these really dark undertones. Also, the audiobooks are really, really good. So if you're into audiobooks, that's a way to consume this story.
Hi, my name is Rachel. My YouTube channel is at Reading Fairy. I've been asked to share with you my favorite book of 2024. Before I get into the book, I want to say congratulations, Cam, on your 1-year BookTube anniversary. So my favorite book of 2024 is The Lost Story by Meg Schaefer. This book is inspired by Chronicles of Narnia. In this book, 2 boys, Rafe and Jeremy, go missing at the age of 16, and they are gone for 6 months, only to mysteriously reappear in the forest where they disappeared from. Now, when they get back, Rafe has no memory of what happened to them, and Jeremy remembers everything. He remembers all of the magic, the whimsy, the fantasy, all of the creatures, all of the people that he met. And in this book, we follow them 15 years after they returned from this place. Because Rafe can't remember and Jeremy can remember but isn't telling Rafe the truth, they have drifted apart. Their friendship is very strained. They get in contact every now and then, but they don't talk anymore. They don't really spend time together anymore, and they kind of have just gone separate paths in life. Rafe is a reclusive artist, and Jeremy actually helps find other lost kids, specifically lost girls. We also follow a young woman named Emily who was adopted when she was a kid, and her mother has recently passed away from cancer. So now she's on the hunt for her long lost birth sister, and she goes to Jeremy for help. Because of this, they end up on a quest together to find Emily's sister, and Jeremy needs Rafe's help. But because Rafe can't remember, it's a little hard to kind of pull him in and get him to go with them. And the journey that these 3 go on ends up being so engaging. I could not put it down. There is whimsy, there's magic, there's found family. There are themes in here of like running from your past and, you know, looking for the place where you belong in the world. And I just think that this story is such a perfect book for adults who want that nostalgic feeling of like when you were a kid, that moment that you like fell in love with reading, when you just wanted to transport yourself to another place and you just have a love of stories in general. This book is like a love letter to stories. And this book is only 322 pages, so it really, really impressed me because Meg Schaefer had such a well fleshed out story from beginning to end. The characters felt fully developed. I feel like the way that they experienced this plot was all different. So we got 3 separate experiences all in one book. And the way that their friendships blossom and grow and change throughout this plot. So for all of those reasons and more, that was my favorite book of 2024. Congrats again on your 1-year BookTube anniversary, Cam. Thanks for having me. Bye!
Cam's very nicely asked me what my favourite book of 2024 is. And I could be the obvious, just say Winter Truth, but everybody's heard about Winter Truth, like, to dead door's end. So I'm going to do my next favourite, which is Dance of Shadows, which is the sequel to Sons of Darkness, right? This shit took me by the chokehold, man. It is a retelling of the Man About a Poem, but like Game of Thrones crossed First Law, and in the most brutal way, right? That's book 1, okay? Book 2 is even more brutal, but even more funny. Like, I was sitting on the train reading this, laughing, looking like a mad woman, because it was just so funny. But there was some stuff that happened, like the last 20% of Dance of Shadows, I was like, glued, could not stop it. I was like, I need to finish this. And then I finished it and I was like, what the hell have you done, Gaurav? You're a nice guy and you did that. And he's just giggling in a corner. It is brutal, but the characters are so on point. They are just incredible, amazing. The world is just expansive. I highly, highly recommend you go pick it up. So that was my best book of 2024, was like on Arc of Dance of Shadows, and it comes out in February.
Howling Duck.
Hi Cams, it's me. I'm Sam Harrison. I read, review and discuss fantasy and science fiction books. And today I'm going to be telling you what my favourite book of 2024 was. So my favourite book of 2024 was Return to Edan by Philip Chase. This is the 3rd book in the Edan trilogy. It is a self-published fantasy. This series is a kind of more traditional fantasy along the lines of like Tolkien and Robin Hobb and you know, classic, the real classic Eddas and sagas like Beowulf, which have really heavily inspired Philip. The thing is, though, that I would say that the writing is incredibly accessible. So rather than those older style books where, you know, you might find the prose a bit harder to get into and a bit harder to get involved in, this book and the whole trilogy is a really fun and accessible read. The thing that I loved so much about this book was how experimental it was. So with many fantasy trilogies, you have the first book is establishing everything. The second book is, you know, the dark ending, the Empire Strikes Back, and the final book is the, you know, the glorious ending battle where everything gets put right. But what Philip has done is he has kind of condensed almost that traditional 3-act trilogy into the first 2 books, and the final book is this really experimental meditation on messianic figures, on religion in society, on a world recovering from a massive war, and kind of on civilization versus like barbarians. Really, really interesting story that I absolutely loved. And if you're looking for a fantasy series that isn't just by the numbers, is trying to do and trying to say something interesting, then I would highly recommend the Edan trilogy and Return to Edan in particular. The book genuinely gave me goosebumps. I don't think any other book last year did that. Thanks for asking me to be a part of the video, Cams, and I hope this wasn't too long and that you have had a fantastic 2024 of reading too. Goodbye.
And right now I'm reading my favourite series of all time, which is The Realm of the Elderlings, with a friend. Got a buddy read going on with the third book of the Tawny Man trilogy, Fool's Fate. So, hi Rae.
Hello there, this is Rae from the RaeLovesToRead channel, a channel which does pretty much exactly what it says on the tin. It's me talking about books. Thank you for inviting me to share my best books of 2024. I hope you're all having a good new year so far. So I've got a best fiction book and a best non-fiction book for the last year. And as some of you may know, Cams and I are doing a buddy read of Fool's Fate by Robin Hobb, and it's the third book in the Tawny Man trilogy, which is the second of 3 trilogies starring Fitz and set in the realm of the Elderlings. So we are reading Fool's Fate together, which I think we both have a feeling it's going to be an emotional experience. Just starting this book, we know it's going to be tugging on the heartstrings. Now, Robin Hobb has created this beautiful, beautiful, immersive world, and I don't think I've ever cared about characters as much as I do in this book. They are flawed but believable. They all feel like absolutely real people. So my favourite book from 2024, there can be no competition really, it's got to be The Golden Fool, which was the second in the Tawny Man series. So we're on 3 of 3 now, Fool's Fate, and I'm just hoping it doesn't hurt too much, because I've never cared like this. I've read a lot of books, I've cared about a lot of characters, but these really have wiggled their way into my heart. So yes, Cams and I are starting off the year strong with a buddy read of Fool's Fate. And I would say my favourite non-fiction book of 2024 is a book called Arrangements in Blue by Amy Key. Now, Amy Key's a poet, and I wasn't familiar with any of her work before reading this. I found it in a bookshop in London, Foyles. One of my favourite bookshops, always full of books that I actually haven't seen elsewhere. Now, I read the blurb of this book and I thought this was going to be a book about how great it is to be single. Yeah, I thought this was going to be a book about all the wonderful things that you can have in life that don't centre on romance and finding that special partnership with somebody. I was hoping that was the kind of book it would be. Unfortunately, this book was more the sort of book that it's about the difficulties of living in a world where you've not got that romantic partnership. And I found this book so beautiful, so vulnerable. There's lots and lots of love and, other kind of affirming nice stuff in the book. But there's also a lot of sadness as well for someone who has not, who life has not gifted what they were kind of growing up to expect. So not only do we have a beautiful portrait of all of the things in life that, are worthwhile outside of that kind of romantic attachment, but also a story of someone who is very much longing to find that spark with somebody. So from that point of view, it's an incredibly vulnerable and poetic piece of writing. It's centred, each chapter is based on a Joni Mitchell song from the album Blue, which again I wasn't familiar with, but it's an incredible piece of writing and it very much spoke to me, so I 5-starred it. So yes, those are my 2 faves from 2024, and I have a good feeling about the reading year ahead. Happy reading, everybody!
Hi, so you asked me for my favorite book of 2024. Picking one favorite is hard, and I went back and forth a lot. But I decided to go for Anathem by Neil Stephenson. This is a adult sci-fi. where in this world we have these monastery type situations where instead of for like religion, they're used for like philosophy and study and stuff. And so they're separated from the outside world so they wouldn't have distractions. And some of them open their doors every year, some every 10 years, some every 100 years, and some every 1,000 years to exchange information with the world, but also amongst the other ones. And so we're following someone who is part of one of these monasteries at the day, well, we start off at the day that the doors open. We go further than that. But then something happens that I don't want to spoil. But this book deals a lot with philosophy. As in, it takes a lot of philosophical concepts that if you know a bit about philosophy will sound very familiar. It's not very original in that. But that also kind of made it fun to sort of like, can I recognize what philosopher this, you know, like fictional person is supposed to represent? And I had a great time. It was very much a me book. We have also these dependencies with some, you know, like more mathematical bits. So I liked it. If you like math, if you like physics, if you like philosophy, this is great. I highly recommend.
So if you're still watching, thank you. You got all the way to the end. I appreciate you very much. Leave a wee emoji down below. Let me know you stuck it out till the end. So thank you to all of the contributors for sending in a short clip. It was really nice to have you be part of this video, and I thank you most sincerely. Just before I go, I'd like to put a wee shout out to Rebecca Nicole, who said she would submit a clip, but she's got the flu. So Rebecca Nicole, I hope you feel better soon, and I'll see you for your readathon at the weekend. All right. Cheers, everybody. Bye.